Okay, I need coffee, lots of coffee for this segment because we are going to address the issue of sleep and I seriously got none. It's the biggest irony of my life that I'm discussing it on World Sleep Day and I've really barely slept last night. But let's start. Life these days is non-stop, it's roller coaster, right? And having decent night's sleep, not just for young moms and like me, is like chasing a unicorn. You just can't have enough of it. But before the pandemic, here's a statistic. In 2019, Indians were found to be the second most sleep-deprived people in the world. These stats now have gotten even worse because the pandemic just made everything harder, though habits haven't returned to normal. And according to the latest study, 61% of the Indians surveyed got less than 6 hours of uninterrupted sleep at night in the last 1 year. 23% of those surveyed got up to 4 hours of uninterrupted sleep. I'm clearly in that category these days. Now, the latest numbers are a proof that Indians are just not sleeping well. But then, what are the causes for that really? They differ from people to people. Some, it might be medical conditions, it might be sleep apnea. We'll tell you more about that on the program. Kids or partner-related interruption, outside noises, or the need to use the restroom, or disturbances from calls, messages. It could be anything really. But today on World Sleep Day, let's understand the science of sleep. How does sleep really work? So let's talk about that a little bit. So we all have these internal clocks that decide when it's time to be up and when it's time to hit the hay. And these clocks follow cycles of roughly 24 hours and are influenced by various factors: light exposure, darkness, consistent sleep routines. As you sleep, you progress through different stages as well of sleep. And this stage of sleep is what defines the quality of sleep. So what do you really need to get what is called a healthy, good quality sleep? Just like eating right, you have to get enough sleep to be okay, and not just by getting any sleep. The crucial is getting the right kind of healthy, recuperating, good quality sleep. Good sleep impacts everything: your brain work, your mood, that we all know about, overall well-being as well. In fact, the lack of good sleep can create a lot of problems like heart diseases, stroke, infections, obesity, even dementia. Why? Because sleep actually acts like a crucial repair time for everything from your blood vessels to your immune system. Sleep impacts nearly every tissue in our body. It influences growth and stress hormones, appetite, breathing, and even blood pressure. But did you know that when we sleep, there's a cycle where your heart rate, your breathing rate, your blood pressure fluctuate, and this process plays a significant role in your health. Similarly, when we sleep, our body releases hormones and helps in repair of cells, regulate energy usage, all of that. And I never knew this, but in our research we found out that sleep actually impacts your weight. So the important thing is that we prioritize good quality sleep, and it's very crucial for our overall well-being as well. But the question is, how much sleep is good enough? Now that's the critical thing, right? Sleep experts advise that adults should aim at somewhere between 7 to 9 hours of sleep every night. And according to American sleep expert body, those who consistently sleep less than 7 hours, adults that is, may face more health concerns compared to those who sleep 7 hours and more. However, sleeping more than 9 hours is also recommended sometimes, but that's for people who are, say, recovering from some illnesses or are young adults, and they are recommended to sleep for longer. If you're a child, then sleep is a mystery mostly, but what experts do tell us is that babies from 4 months to 1 year should sleep 12 to 16 hours per day, whereas teens should sleep somewhere between 13 to 18 hours per day. And as you grow older, you can sleep about 8 to 10 hours as well. So that's a lot of data for you to process. But of course, I'm sure you have questions. I have lots of questions. ये सब तो ठीक है, but इसका solution क्या है? So for that solution, we have Dr. Salil Bendre with us here in the studio. Good morning, doctor.
Good morning.
So he is the director for pulmonology and sleep apnea at the Nanamati Max Super Speciality Hospital. He deals with sleep medicine and of course is the expert. And it's time now to understand a few things from him. The first thing I want to understand, doctor, is, and a lot of people don't know about this, is the difference between good quality sleep and bad quality sleep, where you feel like you've been on the bed for so long, you locked in your 8 hours, but it didn't do anything for your body. So can you take us through what is the difference? How do you tell the difference?
Yeah. So first of all, good morning, and I hope everyone had a refreshing sleep. You gave fantastic statistics. I should also tell you that in that entire day of 24 hours, the most neglected part is the sleep. Because we are all busy working and so on and so forth, and sleep is something.
You plan your day, but you don't plan your sleep.
Don't plan your sleep, and we feel that sleep is okay. I can sleep for 5 hours. I have got this deadline to meet, and I need to wake up and do on it. So we don't pay attention to what is called as the quality of sleep, and that's what's the theme for World Sleep Day: the global equality, or we call about the quality for health, sleep health. So sleep is divided into different parts. And that is all controlled by our hormones. That is the sleep center. And the sleep center decides the quality of sleep. Our breathing, for that matter, is also controlled during sleep. So sometimes if our quality of sleep is not good, our breathing slows down, our heart slows down to such a level that sometimes there's a missed beat.
Yeah, but we'll get into that. But can I request my producers to put up a graphic which actually talks about different stages of sleep, which is what people should be aware of and aim at, because I don't think people understand what good quality sleep is. They don't know iska matlab kya hai, like how do you know you've had good quality sleep?
Correct.
Yeah.
So we'll come to this graphic where we talk of, so once the lights are off, then say 20-30 minutes later you fall asleep, and the sleep goes into 2 cycles. One part is called as the non-REM sleep, and second is the REM sleep. So there are 2 parts.
REM for our viewers means?
This is rapid eye movement.
Rapid eye
movement sleep.
Which is basically when you are sleeping, your eyes are shut and your eyes are moving.
Involuntarily.
Yeah.
And non-REM sleep is the initial part. So that's a light sleep. So we hear people, as we discussed, light sleepers, I wake up quickly. So that's the initial part of sleep, which is about say 20% of the sleep. Gradually the sleep changes into the N2. N2, yes. The N2 sleep, where the sleep increases to almost 30 to 40% of is the N2. And then it goes into the N3. Now N3 sleep is a very important sleep. It's one where there is a lot of restoration of the brain function. We start understanding, our brain starts realizing, and then all the toxins are removed from the brain, from the body, and that's where the N3 is very important. Now imagine that.
If we go back to that graphic, you'll see the most important part is what happens after N3.
Yeah. So if we go to the N3, as I mentioned, restorative. Now you get a mobile call. Suddenly, after about 1.5 hours of you hit the bed, you are breaking your N3. And the restorative sleep gets affected.
And when you fall asleep again, it will again start from N1.
So the REM sleep, which comes after the N3, is very important for our memory, for our intelligence, for our soundness. So again, that comes every 90 minutes. There is a cycle which goes through N1, N2, N3, then the REM sleep, then the non-REM sleep. So this keeps on happening. And once this gets fragmented.
So REM sleep is the one which is most important. That's the one that's getting your body into a recovery mode, right?
I would put it, REM sleep is important, but N3 is equally important because that's a restorative sleep.
Got it.
So sleep has its own cycles, it has got reasons, and somehow we don't really go into that.
Right. But then, doctor, tell us this, that a lot of older people I know, people struggle with sleep, young and old both. We are seeing the statistic move more and more towards younger people now who are struggling with sleep. But largely, even our circles, we find people above 50, 60 finding it very hard to sleep. It could be they pop pills, but the regular complaint amongst the oldies these days is ki neend nahi aati hai. And they have time, they make arrangements for it, they lie on bed but toss for several hours. What could be the reason for that?
So see, these are all multifactorial, but if you see physiologically, sleep reduces over age as age advances because our hypothalamus, that's a part of the brain, it also controls the circadian rhythm. What is this
Yes.
circadian rhythm? Is the normal sleep cycle.
Yeah.
There is a small hormone called as melatonin. So that reduces, the effect of that on the brain reduces as age advances. So I would
For all adults, it
for
should be
for
8
almost 34%
hours.
of people, they have lack of sleep or their amount of sleep starts reducing. Okay, and then there are other factors like people who are in the elderly age group, they go for urination frequently, so their sleep gets again broken down, or there is a lot of depression which comes in, or they sleep more in the daytime. So that doesn't allow their sleep cycle to happen properly in the night time. So that has to be also avoided.
But does sleep, do you need lesser sleep when you grow old?
Yeah, it is. It is so that as we age, the duration of sleep definitely reduces, but up to 5 to 6 hours, not like 2 hours or 3 hours. It
Oh.
reduces.
So 5 to
say
6.
generally.
So tell me this. So if somebody is about 50 to 60 years of age, how much sleep do they need?
So see, up to 60 years of age, definitely 6 hours sleep is required. But by age, it happens that the sleep cycle reduces because of the melatonin and the hypothalamus circadian.
And that's normal?
That's normal physiological in almost 30-40% of the elderly age group above the age of 60. Okay, but here we are not talking of duration. Remember, again we go back to talking of the quantity and how many hours.
Yeah.
We are coming back to lot of facts that the quality.
But coming back to quality, Doc, now there are certain situations that one can't help.
Yeah.
Okay, I have like last night I slept at 2 a.m. because my daughter refused to sleep and she's just 10 months. And I had to, again, my alarm went up at 4:30. I'm not looking at guys because I have a very great team and they do great makeup. But I had a terrible time. So what do people like this do when you can't control this? Is there a coping mechanism? Can I like go back and take a cat nap? Will that restore my cycle? Will that help my body?
Yeah. So that's a very practical, very common question. Yes, whenever there are issues like a child, which you can't ignore and you can't neglect it. You need to have your sacrifices done for that. You can always go back to a power nap. They have shown to be helpful and useful. But power nap does not mean 2 hours. Okay, 20-minute power nap is adequate. It does restore. It is helpful. But it's a
20-minute.
Yeah, yeah. It's a one-off situation. I mean, don't have that. Okay, every day I will sleep less in the night, and the next day morning or afternoon I'll take a 40 minutes nap, and that doesn't neutralize. You know, there are people who smoke and say, I will run extra for 2 kilometers. And that doesn't equate.
Yeah, it doesn't work like that.
In the world of health, that doesn't equate.
Yeah. You should be like that professor in 3 Idiots who took like a 7-minute power nap. And, you know, that is how he made his day and all of that, right? But coming to the most critical problem, and this is a serious one, when it comes to sleep, there's something called sleep apnea that you and I were discussing, which is now a reason for fatality, for death. Can you explain to our viewers why it is so critical, and especially for people who are obese, people who snore, people who have a high blood pressure situation? These people need to be extra careful about their sleep. Why?
So, Sonal, very important point. We are talking of a disease or an illness or a syndrome, I should say, which is called as sleep apnea. Apnea means breathing stops for more than 10 seconds and allows the oxygen to go down to severely low levels, where a person may actually suffer a heart attack in sleep or a brain stroke in sleep, and no one will realize, even the patient doesn't understand that this is happening.
Just call it a stroke. They never say it's sleep apnea.
Yeah, it's never. So, unfortunately, we are not aware that there is an element called as sleep apnea, where the person gets a lack of oxygen, and there are.
But how do I know? How does one know ki sleep apnea hai?
It's very easily put up. One, if you are a snorer, there is a high chance that you have sleep apnea. One, snoring doesn't mean that you are unhealthy or you are bad, but snoring means that you should screen yourself to rule out sleep apnea. Second, if you are overweight. Now, when I say overweight, it means check your height in centimeters, check your weight in kgs.
Okay, I'm getting to understand that there's some issue with Dr. Salil's mic, but just to sort of recap that while my producers fix that for him, what he's trying to say is that there is something called a sleep test that is now available for how much
For 8,500.
For about 8,500 rupees, if you get that sleep test done, they sort of monitor your sleep overnight and they tell you what are your issues. This is serious because this can stop strokes. This can ensure that especially those who are struggling, like I said, with snoring, with high blood pressure, whose body mass index is not okay, that means they're fat and obese. These people need to be extra careful. So get yourself tested and be more aware on this World Sleep Day. Thanks so much,
Thank you.
Dr. Salil, for joining us with that. That was quite an eye-opener. And if you have these facilities around you, then there's no harm getting it done and understanding and being more aware of your body.